What's going on, everybody? Eric Lindquist at Stochastic here on the OddsShopper channel, coming to you with the first edition of NFL Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks. Hit the like button, subscribe button, notification bell. Goes a long way for me on this video. Goes a long way for you. That way you become a prize whenever great content is going live here at our little neck of the YouTube woods. Obviously, NFL season is upon us. It's Thursday night football that we're covering first. Baltimore at Kansas City. We're doing things a little bit differently here on Lindy's this NFL season. Instead of the massive 50-minute video that we would do on Fridays, I'm going to be bringing you every single island game in its entirety as its own program. And if you followed me for a couple of years, awesome. You probably know how things work at this point in time. But if not, if this is your first time checking us out, first off, hit that subscribe button down below here. Join OddsShopper so you can check out all the great content, whether it's Matt Kajeski and Ben Raza in the college football streets, whether it's Lofty, who I'm going to be doing some NFL content with. Be on the lookout for that. But over here at OddsShopper and Stochastic, obviously our partner company, you have an opportunity to win a lot of money in the NFL by tailing some really sharp minds. You can do that in the Insider Discord, which I'll talk about a little bit later here as well. But of course, I'm going to break things down like this. I concocted Leans, Likes, Locks purely so that you have an opportunity to see what I like the most relative to what I don't. Because, well, let's face it, some people don't allocate their unit sizing well enough, and they just put the same amount of money on the same thing, or they put too much of their bankroll into one specific play. Here's how I generally do things on single games. For this program, we'll talk leans, something I'm thinking about betting that I haven't yet. A like, that's generally something that's around half a unit. When it's a regular program, when I'm talking about all the likes on the baseball streets or in the NBA streets, it's generally a half unit for most of the things that I'm liking on that. And then a lock, that is generally a unit or more than I'm allocating of my bankroll. So again, unit sizing, thinking about 100 unit bankroll, whatever that is for you, whether that's $1, whether that's $5, whether that's $100, whether that's $1,000 for some people, you have an opportunity to utilize your bankroll correctly and manage it throughout the entire NFL season. Now, let's face it, the NFL, you want to be betting early for the spreads and the totals. You also want to be jumping on the props early, but there's generally some news that's waiting in the wings. So I'm generally going to be bringing you the most updated information by recording the night before or the morning of breaking down these island slates. And then Friday, I record the biggie for Sunday, where I cover everything on that main slate, excluding Sunday Night Football. So hopefully that made some sense to you. If you have any questions, hit me up at Eric Lindquist as we begin this new season. I'm excited to talk some pigskin. If you are too, smash that like button. And producer Jacob, we'll talk about this use code kickoff a little bit later. I'm excited. Let's get to the picks. Look at this sleek blue with the green. It's like a Seahawk green. And no, well, they're not playing here, but we got Baltimore at Kansas City. Just wanted to shout out, I love the layout. Baltimore plus 1,100 over on the old Super Bowl odds, plus 550 for Kansas City. Your odds-on favorites, because I don't know, they seem like they win you put $1 and get a car, put $1 and get a car. Just Patrick Mahomes winning Super Bowls. It's consistent as gravity. We just saw them play San Francisco, and it was lovely. And, well, they overcame a lot of adversity, I believe, from last season. First off, Taylor Swift seems like she's important. People know who she is. That's wild. A lot of people watching NFL shows and betting shows and other things that I didn't expect to be hearing from purely because Taylor Swift exists. So that's cool. It's a big distraction, but also could be a welcome one for a lot of types of people. But the second part, the thing that I'm not joking around nearly as much about, is the wide receiver core is massively upgraded on the Kansas City side of things. Baltimore we'll get to in a second, but just to lay the foundation for the team that people are most aware of, you still have Mahomes, you still have Kelsey, and you still have Rashee Rice. But this is a very difficult situation for him to walk into, considering the defensive unit that is going to be on the other side. Now, you did see a switch in defensive coordinator here. The old defensive coordinator took the Seattle Seahawks job. So as he should, Mike Macdonald was awesome. He was due for a head coaching job. But looking at the personnel here, Jadeveon Clowney gone. Geno Stone gone. Ronald Darby gone. Patrick Queen, I think, is on the Steelers now. And just massive changes that have happened up front here for this entire team. But why is it difficult for Rashee Rice? Well, because Marlon Humphrey and Kyle Hamilton are just absolute warriors. These guys are cornerbacks you don't really want to screw with, and it's ironic because we're going to talk about a wide receiver here in a little bit. As for the Baltimore side of things, Lamar Jackson, we've gotten a lot of reports about how he's down in weight, nearly 200 pounds now. That's below where he was during the draft. I think it was like 215, 220 back in 2018. He's had some Super Bowl MVP, not Super Bowl MVP. He would love that, wouldn't he? He's had some MVP caliber seasons here and there. He's been unbelievable. Then come playoff time, people throw out the question marks, but let's go a little bit easy on him here, considering defensively, Kansas City is no slouches themselves, and they bring back a lot of their core pieces, whereas you don't necessarily see that as much on the Baltimore side. Are they still going to be stout defensively? I surely expect it, but let's not go crazy here breaking that one down. And that leads me into the lean here. I look at some of these spreads that have been out for 5 months, 6 months in some cases, and I don't know how you go to the window on Thursday and feel confident laying down your money, but there is math that we can think about when it comes to betting NFL. If you have 3 as the primary number and it drops to 2.5, you have an opportunity to play vig free with the tie on 3. What I mean by that is I think that there are scenarios where we see some money come in on Baltimore in the aftermath of Hollywood Brown being ruled out. We'll see Kansas City. I think pretty much everybody else is ready to rock. Rashee Rice did not get suspended for some of his off-field incidents that he had over the summer, but I'm looking at the board for tomorrow. And the total, 47.5, 47, 47.5. I see really no way that I'm going to attack anything on these week 1 spreads because they've been out forever. And in the NFL, they are the most efficient thing because bookmakers know they take way more money on these specific games than they do the rest of the season in any other sport besides, like, I don't know, the NBA finals at times, or, you know, Christmas Day for the NBA, which is now going to be Christmas Day for the NFL too. But I'm looking at +3 Baltimore purely for the event that a bunch of money comes in before kickoff, because that's when you see a lot of this money come in from the public, and it dips it down to 2.5. So if you have to be making a play on this, I like Baltimore +3. And if you prefer one side of it, that 2.5 and 3, that half point can be so valuable when you're talking about the -110 vigorish. There's a lot of math. There's a lot of ways that we can break it down. I'll break it down for you in that marketplace. If you have questions, you can hit me up down at the link below. Again, promo code Lindy50. That gets you 50% off daily picks, premium Discord. Look at that. Producer Jacob just firing it up on command. I will talk you through why it is that I'm looking at that +3 and how I think it could be advantageous to either be on the Kansas City or Baltimore side. But I repeat, extremely efficient numbers. Alrighty, y'all, let's get to the like play, shall we? Let's get to some actual plays that I'm interested in. And obviously, I've been grading out these plays for a long time, but redid my modeling over the offseason because NFL, between all of the sports that I did for Lindy's, including PGA, which I don't do anymore at the moment, still betting PGA on my own, still posting some plays from time to time, much earlier in the season this year. But between NFL, NBA, and MLB, I don't think anybody who's tailed me is super enthusiastic about my betting results from the NFL. I was up just under 25 units over the course of 2023. During 2024, during the playoffs, I had a nice string of plays, a couple of single game parlays that hit, was a little up over 10 units at the tail end of the year, but 25 units over the course of 4 months. I'm looking for some improvement because basically I could go, drive Uber, which is a fantastic profession, by the way. Just saying, I could do a lot of things with my time and energy and money and make more money and have a higher ROI on my life than what I did betting NFL. Now, obviously, this is an enjoyable experience. And the NBA, smash. My best sport, personally, I believe. My MLB results have been better over the course of the last year and a half. A lot of people tailing me here, but I did some updates to some modeling so that I can account for different markets, which leads me into Xavier Worthy. I think you have to look at range of outcomes for a guy like Xavier Worthy. He was the first round pick, ends up getting a trade from Buffalo. Kansas City goes up and gets a 4.21 speedster. We're talking the fastest 40 time in the history of the NFL Combine is going to be on the field for the best quarterback that we've seen in the modern era. That is Patrick Mahomes. You can talk about anybody else. You can't really dispute that Patrick Mahomes' results have been outrageous and his efficiency outrageous. And I would say the wide receiver core, talked about a second ago, Rashee Rice, he really emerged, but he barely played around 59% of snaps over the course of his rookie year. Towards the tail end of the year, Andy Reid realized the error of his ways and started shoving him out on the field. And part of that, Kadarius Toney was a stone cold disaster. Number 19 rip, he's gone. No longer with this football team. We'll see if some other team ends up taking a shot on him. I don't believe I've seen news come across on Kadarius Toney. He's not even on the practice squad. But I do think Xavier Worthy is going to have a lot of opportunities to get deep shots from Patrick Mahomes. And I can't think of a better person to be airing it out in this specific style offense. Now, Rashee Rice dominates the middle of the field. Will be running a lot of his cross patterns. Travis Kelce, same kind of area, trying to get him out wide. Andy Reid, one of the best play callers in football. You're telling me that we're going to get 60 minutes. I almost did 48 for NBA, but 60 minutes of NFL football. And we're not going to get one deep shot to Xavier Worthy, maybe two. The guy was getting open nonstop in practice, which I would expect from a 4-2 guy, but I'm telling you, Xavier Worthy is going to absolutely slam dunkles over the course of this NFL season. And I'm not a big Xavier Worthy guy. I think he's got some inconsistent hands. Watching some tape of him at Texas, I have questions about him. Is he still going to be perfect for this offense? I absolutely do, because it used to be MVS running those wind sprints and Justin Watson, who will still be out there. And obviously with no Hollywood Brown on the field, I'm going to expect some of those looks. Noah Gray maybe in some of those 12 personnel type looks, but Xavier Worthy is definitely going to be where I start this thing. But that is not all, friends. Oh, no. Was rerunning some stuff on the other side of this one. And let's talk, let's talk what we could be potentially looking at on the Baltimore offensive side of things. No improvements to wide receiver 2. None whatsoever. Zay Flowers had some bright spots over the course of his 2023-24 intro to the NFL. But his sophomore season, it's going to still have to be that guy. Mark Andrews will be on the field, obviously. Can he stay healthy? That would be awesome. His receiving yard looks about efficient. Might look a little low to some, sitting like sub 50, but it is what it is. I'm looking at the median a lot more than I'm looking at the mean for some of these props. And that's going to be something you hear a lot from me in the NFL because it matters so much. And that's where Rashad Bateman comes in. Rashad Bateman had really good, and everybody gets really good hype up over the course of training camp, but he got Lamar Jackson coach speak, basically. Lamar Jackson coming to the forefront. It wasn't even Harbaugh throwing it out there, letting him know that Rashad Bateman is somebody he is going to be looking for. And as you go through this defensive front that he will be facing in this game, I think that if they can somehow, some way withstand some of the pressure from Jones, from some of the edge rushing, I think we're going to see a pretty good opportunity for Rashad Bateman to get the easier looks. Zay Flowers, not very high on him for this game specifically, purely with the personnel that you're going to see on the, whether it's Watson on the outside, but McDuffie, I expect to be all over Flowers. It's going to be a tough spot for him, which should open up a little bit of work for Nelson Aguilar in the slot, but specifically, we're keying in on Watson, potentially Reed on the other side of that. Not the best coverage safety, and Justin Reed has had some good years in the past. 2022 specifically, his PFF grading pretty nice, but Rashad Bateman, over 30.5 receiving yards. Look, before we get to the lock, of course, Stochastic, let's fire this up, shall we? Use code KICKOFF. I'm going to be talking you through the NFL for every one of these showdowns, giving you the ins and outs, giving you a data analytical approach. Well, that's exactly what we bring to the fantasy football table as well, specifically daily fantasy sports. If you're playing DraftKings in the Millie Maker or FanDuel for some of their massive contests for week 1, use code KICKOFF to get all of that data, including advanced stats and metrics, which you can use for the betting markets for just $1. $1 to try out anything that we have in terms of light and core subscriptions, build lineups in seconds, check out the single game optimizer. So much to do, so little time. Sign up for the down at the link below using code KICKOFF. Alrighty, y'all, let's get to the lock, shall we? Now, we've seen Travis Kelce with this Kansas City team forever. You have pretty historical efficient prices. I think we know what we're going to be dealing with there, but let's go back to Baltimore, because Baltimore +3, I'm kind of looking at them, not that I want to back them as the dog. I'm just basically trying to take advantage of that 3, 2.5. We'll see where that line moves. I haven't pulled the trigger on anything there, but it's a thought, and I'm looking at the math of it, trying to see if that's something that I can do. A lot of professional bettors, a lot of people are looking between 2.5 and 3. That half point is so much valuable, has so much value attached to it relative to other things. But let's break down Derrick Henry, shall we? The Baltimore Ravens acquire one of the most generational talents that we've seen in the NFL, a downhill bull rusher, should fit exactly what they're looking for. He does what Gus Edwards did. He does what J.K. Dobbins would have done if he didn't get sniped by the injury bug in back-to-back years. He is just better at it than them. He is a downhill bruiser, and he had a crazy workload over the course of his Tennessee tenure. But I want to talk you through a couple of things, because I don't think we know exactly what we're walking into in terms of third downs with Baltimore. It is presumed, with the departure of Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins, that we are going to see Justice Hill come in for third down specifically. Behind them, you have a guy in Keaton Mitchell who's going to be out for this game. He's on the reserve PUP list, so he's got to be out at least the first 4 games of this outing. And then you work through the rest of the running back room, and it gets really, really dusty. I doubt John Kelly Jr. is going to be activated here in this spot. You're looking at guys like Justice Hill, who potentially could be like one of 2 or 3 running backs that are active. Obviously, you'll have some special teamers who can do some stuff here as well, but I don't think it's a guarantee that Justice Hill plays as much as we think here. Once again, Tennessee, that's how they treated Derrick Henry. That's the way that they approached Derrick Henry over the course of his tenure. You rip him off the field, you put Tajay Sharp in. But working through week ones, this is an opportunity for misdirection, for new things to come out of the playbooks, and to see how new players fit in their roles. I think there's a chance that Derrick Henry ends up on the field for third downs more than we think in this first game. You show off your shiny toy, you get him moving, and including, his Tennessee tenure, there are some good trends, and I'm not a trends guy by any means, but I am a usage guy. And 4 of the 5 week ones that Derrick Henry played in Tennessee, he eclipsed double-digit receiving yards. His receiving yards prop for this game is at 6.5. 6.5 minus 120 at BetMGM. Now, we're talking about the median outcome as opposed to what that ceiling is, because 40 yards, 50 yards, when you're betting this 6.5, it does the same for you as getting to 7 or 8. At the same time, you're looking at the floor. What is the floor relative to it? So you can do your mean projections, but you got to look at that median. But I've got that median north of 10 yards here in this spot because I am projecting it for a little bit more third down work than I believe the market consensus is throwing out there. If you have Derrick Henry, if he's doing all right in pass pro, and well, I think he's going to do all right on the ground considering Kansas City gave up the 7th most yards per carry, 7.5 per game. I think Derrick Henry is somebody they want on the field to try to establish that run early and often. I think we're looking at this being a fantastic investment at just minus 120. Again, hitting 62, 63% of the time for me. That is a slam dunk. I do have a unit on this one. My favorite play from this game, it's actually the last play that I added to my card from this game. Derrick Henry over 6.5 receiving yards. I'll see you back here for Friday in Brazil. And that does it for the first edition of Lindy's Leans, Lights, and Locks on the Showdown Streets on these isolated island games. Hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell. I'm excited to bring you more NFL content, more geared towards data, more geared towards looking at the market, in addition to my projections, combining the two and finding you some winners on this program. So let's get off to a great start here in 2024. Thank you, producer Jacob. He's alongside me in the NFL streets as well. All with six months that we ran MLB out here. Oh my goodness. It's good to talk another sport. Hopefully you enjoyed it as well. Check out Stochastic. Check out Lindy 50 down below too. If you want to get all of my plays for this game and the entire weekend, I have more posted already for week 1. Come get them over in that insider marketplace at OddsShopper. Until next time, friends, I'm Eric Lindquist. Best of luck in the NFL streets on Thursday Night Football.